I'm a little insomniac again. It's 10 till 4. I woke up about 2:30 a.m. because I'm moving the camera. Very exciting. This is just a really quick post for Heather. I was thinking about it. What does it mean to fear God? First John, 2nd John, I cannot remember now which epistle it is. Perfect love casts out all fear. It's a passage about how the perfect love, receiving God's love, casts out fear. There's no real need to fear God, says John in his epistle. This is a curious thing, given all the other passages in the Bible that say that you should fear God. So you have some opportunities, if you will, some options how to respond to this seeming discontinuity. I prefer to take the C.S. Lewis route with this. If you have read the Narnia series, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, about Aslan, the lion, he is no tame lion. Now, we often talk, and I've seen it in some of, excuse me, I'm moving everything around again. I've seen it in some of the posts, whether on blogs or here on YouTube. There is a reasonable movement afoot about not putting God in a box. A Christian box, a Jewish box, a Hindu box. Let's just not put God in a box. But it's really interesting, I think, how quickly those of us, myself included, who tend to run to the left of the theological spectrum, want to put God in that box. God is in no box. None. Not even the happy, shiny, happy people holding hands liberal box. He's not in that box. She's not in that box. There is no box big enough to hold God. God does not fit any of our definitions. The definitions are for us, not for God. The traditions, the scriptures, it's all for us. When you read through the Old and New Testaments and the Christian traditions, you need to be aware of a lot of things. I don't think the Bible can be read like a lot of people seem to think it can be read. You know, you talk to the Gideons, you stick the Bible in the drawer next to the bed in the hotel room, hoping that someone will read it and find God. Now, I know this has happened for some people. I think it's great, but I think most of those people already are immersed in Christian culture or some sort of Judeo-Christian culture. They already have a religious language. If you don't have a religious language, if you haven't been immersed in the community somehow, whether it's from your grandmother who just beat you with it or you actually were raised in it somehow, the Bible doesn't make much sense as a standalone document. The Bible can only be read really in community, and specifically from my perspective, a Christian community, because it's a history. It's all things. It's a guidebook. It's a history. It's a mythology. It's a rule book. It's a vague spiritual remembrance. As an example, loving God, fearing God. There are, in the Bible, scholars say, at least four, in the Old Testament, 4 competing traditions. It wasn't written in an afternoon, and there was no New York-based editor trying to find some cogency or consistency in the Bible. There's cogency, there's no consistency. It's not meant to be consistent. You're not supposed to be able to read it from the beginning to the end and say, aha, we've got it. It's 5,000 years of the human experience of God. In 5,000 years, you're going to find different and competing experiences. You just are. So, my unsolicited advice is not to stop reading Scripture. Keep reading it. Ask the questions. Don't look for consistency. Don't take and this is me, and I know people are going to disagree with this, but don't take the literal route. It doesn't work. It's not a scientific book. You can't. If you do that, you drive yourself nuts. Treat it like poetry for a while. See how that works for you. What does it mean when the writer of Proverbs says to fear God? Maybe it simply means this. Since you can't put God in a box, don't go thinking that God favors you, just because you got money. It's, the Proverbs, apparently written by Solomon, who had money. Don't go thinking that just because you were born into money, make money, everything's going right in your life, that you can kick back and not think that it's all going to turn on its ear someday. If God's got God's hand in every little thing that happens in the world, and we can talk about that later, then don't be so arrogant as to think that you can predict or control God. It doesn't work that way. To fear God is to know one's sense of place. It's to have a reasonable, spiritually inspired or informed sense of scale. I like how Paul says it personally, because I think it trips off the tongue. I am a worm and no man. The psalmists say it really well. I think it's Psalm 90 or 91, talking about how we wither like the grass. You get 70 or 80 years in this life if you're lucky, and that's it. God is eternal. So who the hell are we, right? Putting God in a box. That God, to encounter the God of scale, now that's scary. Not because God could just squash you. It's not that. It's to recognize how small we really are. That's frightening. And of course, the overarching theme in all of Scriptures is, in spite of that, God reaches into the world and creates us and loves us and is in the trenches with us, all of us, even when we're enemies of one another. It's pretty tremendous stuff. Of course, I've got a strong bias. That's why I do this Jesus stuff for a living. Anyway, yeah, that's 8 minutes. Good God, you wasted all this time. Well, take care. I'll talk to you later. Go to Scriptor. Everything fits.